Hey, this is Hillary Goldstein. I'm here with Christine Steimer, and we're going to take a look at L.A. Noire, the kind of first real trailer from Rockstar's upcoming game coming out this spring. So L.A. Noire is, I think a lot of people are curious, Christine, is this game like Grand Theft Auto? What's the answer?
No, it is not. Whereas Grand Theft Auto was an open-world sandbox game, this game is much more linear. But it's all about how you get to the end of the game. That's what's going to change.
Yeah, you play as a good guy this time. You're a good cop in a corrupt L.A. So as you're seeing, like, these are scenes of L.A. in the 40s. This is actually kind of the same similar setting to the movie L.A. Confidential. And you're a war hero. You play Cole Phelps, who's played by Aaron Staton right here. This is you might recognize him as Ken Cosgrove from Mad Men. And another thing to point out is, you know, people have been seeing this trailer and saying, like, well, these are really cool cutscenes. These are not cutscenes. This is actually what the game looks like. Those faces aren't actually even animated. Team Bondi, which is a studio that Rockstar is using for this out of Australia, they created this cool technology where those are actual actors' faces, and there's no touch-ups whatsoever. There's no artist going in and adding anything to this woman's face. This is an actual actor acting. So her lipstick, for example, has to be on like that. If she were to be in a scene where she had been beaten up, they would actually have to put makeup on her face and stuff like that to make her look beaten up, because it's actually 100% this actor's face, which is pretty interesting.
It's also kind of creepy looking.
This is true. It's a little creepy looking, and you'll see like a lot of actors where you go, I kind of know that person from
Where do
somewhere.
I know them from?
Like for
this guy.
Yeah, who the hell is that guy? Who is this guy? Nobody knows. And also, if you notice that this is if you go back, this is a Cole Phelps. That's actually him early on. So you're just out of the military. You start up as sort of a beat cop, and you basically take on different cases, and you get quickly promoted because
you're a war hero, and they want you to be like the face of the LAPD, because you're one, attractive,
yeah.
And two, you've got all these decorations, these medals.
Honestly, if you remember Guy Pearce's character from L.A. Confidential, it's sort of like the same idea of like the police department has so many issues with corruption that they get one kind of shining hero example and they want to promote them quickly. So you'll have a lot of different partners as you go from desk to desk, from traffic to going on to robbery, and then eventually on to homicide, which obviously this is a homicide here.
Yes, I mean, but even if you're on traffic, you're still doing interesting cases. Like one we saw was, it started out was just some car crashed into a billboard, but then it turned into this whole thing about rape and, extortion and really screwed up situation.
So this is one of Cole's partners, so you're going to have 4 or 5 partners throughout the series.
Every desk you have a different partner.
Yeah, and that'll change the dynamic of your relationship. And so people are wondering what kind of game it is. Well, it is open world, but it's actually more like an adventure game where if we go back to kind of that murder scene that we saw a little bit earlier. So you'll see doing an examination, you'll actually be able to interact with the people and items and stuff that are in the scene, looking for clues to put in your notebook.
Yeah, so you'll either gather clues on your own, or there'll be some already laid out for you at the crime scene that you'll go in and look at.
Yeah, and the reason why it's so, kind of a big deal that they're focusing on a lot of the faces and stuff, so if we keep moving forward, you'll see some interrogation scenes and keep on going. And so here's a good example of an interrogation where when you're talking to somebody, when you get to see their face, it's up to you to actually read their face and tell whether or not you think they're lying, holding something back,
or
telling
you
the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll have 3 options of either believing a person, of sort of pressing them, or outright accusing them, right?
Accusing them. But if you accuse them, you better make sure that you have some sort of evidence to back up, why you think that they're lying. Otherwise, they'll sort of dismiss you, and it might take you a little bit longer to solve the case.
So you get lots of stuff like this, like, for example, there's some sort of stain on this, of course, but you're not going to have CSI helping you out analyze clues. So it's actually more old school detective work where you sort of got to like pick out motives for yourself, figure out from just interacting with people sort of why they would do the things that they do, and then piecing together kind of more obvious clues like a letter like this than you would, reading off fingerprints and blood samples and stuff. And I think this is kind of an important line here if you actually go back and let it play what this guy says.
I believe that you don't know what happened.
I expect you to draw your own conclusions.
So that's pretty much a message straight from Rockstar saying that's what they expect of gamers. They expect you to basically figure out the clues on your own.
And there's a lot of different difficulty levels too. So if you're somebody that might have problems finding clues in a room, you can turn up, what would you call it, a help
Yeah.
meter. And so like you might, the piano might go ding 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 if you're near a clue so that you know. Or your partner could just walk up and be like, hey, look at this thing over here. This looks interesting. Or you can turn all of that off and just solve it all on your own.
And Rockstar's told us that there's actually going to be a lot of reasons to replay, that even though you know the answers for stuff, that just different lines of questioning and the different order that you go and talk to people will sort of just change dialogue outcomes and stuff like that, so that it's just going to be a lot of variety to everything. And so one of the things that we should point out is that you do see some guns in this and a few moments of violence. So even though a lot of the game that we saw is about finding clues and talking to people, that there are sections where it's pretty much looks like GTA gameplay, where you're chasing after people or you're going behind cover and shooting at people. There was definitely like a lot of action towards the end of the case that we saw, where you're still blowing people's heads off and stuff. So you will have a chance to kill people, which I know Christine is looking forward to.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, that's sort of the idea of L.A. Noire. It's something completely different for Rockstar, but they really changed the gaming landscape when they created Grand Theft Auto 3, and it looks like they're going to try to do that again. And oddly enough, this is coming out in the spring for PS3 and Xbox 360.
So you do not have long to wait.
No, if we had our guess, we'd say end of April, which is when they tend to like to release games. That's a quick look at L.A. Noire. We're hoping to see even more of the game in the coming months. I'm Hillary Goldstein.
I'm Christine Steimer.
And stay tuned to IGN for more.